Hi, I'm Crystal McDonough with McDonough Law Group. I'm an attorney and the owner of McDonough Law Group law firm. Today, I'm really excited that I've got Shelby Hughes here with us. Shelby is our trademark attorney, and I think she's got some really interesting information that is going to be helpful to a lot of our business owners to understand how trademarks come into play when it comes to your business. Trademark really is part of your intellectual property. And so it's important to protect that just like you would any of your other intellectual property. So with that, Shelby, I'd really like you to just introduce yourself and let everyone know who you are.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shelby Hughes. As Crystal mentioned, I specialize in trademark law, and what I do is help clients protect the unique branding that you've worked so hard to build and create. And I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about how you should do that, when you should do that, and what that all looks like.
Now, keep in mind that this is for informational purposes only. We're not giving legal advice in this video. We hope that the information about trademarks will find useful and helpful to you, maybe get you thinking about what you need to do with your own business. And if you've got questions, just give us a call or talk to your local attorney. All right, Shelby, what is a trademark?
So, a trademark is legal protection for your business or company's branding. Examples of things that can be trademarked would be names. So, you can protect your business name, product names. If you have, online courses, you can protect the names of those. You can also protect if you have a podcast. The names of those podcasts can also be protected. Additionally, you can also protect your business logos and also any slogans or taglines that you might be using in your branding.
Okay, and maybe even like descriptions of services that you offer to customers or clients, even unique taglines and things like that. Can those be trademarked?
Yes, unique taglines can be trademarked. So it just really depends on how you're using your branding and putting yourself out there to the public. So any messaging that you're using front facing to your customers to create a brand image for yourself can be protected by trademark law.
Okay, so what cannot be trademarked? Because I know sometimes I see things come across and I know sometimes clients get frustrated because we'll say you'll say no, that can't be trademarked, or you'll give an as some sort of an explanation about difficulties with a certain trade name or something. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so things that can't be trademarked are, well, first and foremost are the types of things that fall into other areas of intellectual property. So, if you're looking to protect a business process or something like that, that more falls into patents. Or if you're trying to protect a book that you've written, that falls into copyright.
Mhm.
As far as books go, you can trademark the name of your book only if it's part of a series. So if you've only written a singular title, then you cannot protect the brand name until it's
Mm.
created in a series. So, for instance, Harry Potter or The Hunger Games, those are names that are protected by trademark law because they've been made into a series.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So I hear this question a lot from clients. Can't I just file the name with the Secretary of State and won't that protect it? Just I registered my LLC with the Secretary of State. I'm good. I'm protected.
You would think so, right? But unfortunately, no. So forming a business in your state only gives you the right to do business in that state, and it does
Mhm.
nothing to protect your brand name because the Secretary of State's office, they do not check nor have access to the trademark database to make sure that your brand is not conflicting with another's. And furthermore, Secretary of State's offices, do not communicate with each other, from state to state. So, if you file your business name in one state, they're not going to know if the brand name exists in another state. So, the only way to find out if your brand name is going to be good across the entire United States is to pursue the trademark process that we will be discussing here soon.
Okay, so before we dive into the process for obtaining a trademark or starting that trademark process, the question, probably the most common question I hear is why? Why do I care? Why do I need it? I've been doing business for 15 years this way. Who cares? I haven't had any problems, or I'm just starting out. I did a Google search and I didn't see anything come up. Nobody's using this exact name, or I found a web domain that I can use, or I can get a Gmail account with that name. So I should be good, right? And those are the things that I hear all the time from our business
Yes.
owners.
So there are two main reasons why I recommend that business owners get a trademark. And the first reason is to keep other people from profiting off of your brand. So
Mhm.
you've spent years, months building up your branding, and you want to make sure that other people aren't profiting off of your brand. And so the way to do that is to get a trademark. The
Okay,
second
and not to
reason
mention the money too. I mean, it's expensive to build a brand. That's a
it
lot that
is,
goes into that. There was a company here in our hometown where I live that we frequented. It was a soda shop that we like to go to, and it was in the newspaper. It was kind of all over our community. They had to change their name, and I found out just through the grapevine locally that they had received a cease and desist because they were using another company's name and didn't even know it.
yes,
And so they had to change their name after they had built all this business and this reputation and all this branding locally, and spent all this money on merchandise and all kinds of stuff. They had to change it, and I know that is just a huge pain to do and expensive.
yeah. And that segues into the second reason why business owners should get a trademark is, you don't want to get in trouble, before you start, if you're just starting out, or, if you've been in business for several years or decades. And just as Crystal described, you get a cease and desist letter and have to start all over. It's much harder to do it down the line. Than it is when you're first starting out. So yes, if you get a cease and desist letter, I just like to put that out there. Don't just ignore it. Reach out to legal counsel and to determine whether or not it's legitimate.
Mhm.
Sometimes they are not legitimate, but a lot of times they are, and if you get it via email, don't ignore it. You want to make sure that the claims they're making are actually verified or not verified before you decide how to best proceed.
Mm.
So the truth of the matter is the world is just getting smaller with the internet and all of the new AI technologies. It makes it much easier to find other people who may be infringing on your brand name. And for that reason, there has been, I would say, an uptick in the amount of people getting cease and desist letters. And especially where I'm located here in Wyoming, a lot of business owners think, I'm just in Wyoming. This is just a small business. I'm not bothering anybody. Why does it matter? And it doesn't matter where you are in the world because trade once you have a federal trademark, it covers the entire United States. So if somebody in Georgia has your trademark registration for
Mhm.
your business name, and you're in Wyoming or Colorado, and the other person has been using the brand name longer,
Mhm.
you will most likely, unfortunately, have to change your brand name or head to litigation to decide, who does get to use it. So
Now, I know you send cease and desist letters. I mean, we had a client recently who has a super cool logo, super cool brand, and I mean, it's really fun. And we found out that another company in another state across the country had literally taken a screenshot online of his logo exactly like didn't even try to hide it. They just screenshotted it, and then they used that for their company and did all of their branding and started a company just using our clients a screenshot of our client's logo. I mean, it was so blatant. um that I know you
Yeah.
handled that one and the client was thrilled. You got a successful result out of that. And I know it's not always that cut and dry, right? Every situation is unique and different.
Yeah.
We need to understand that, but it is becoming smaller to have similar names or to other companies, maybe in another state or locally or something, and they've been sued mistakenly because somebody thought they were this other company.
Mhm.
And we've actually had that happen several times to a few of our clients. We've been able to resolve those for our clients, thankfully. But that's another thing. You don't want to get mistaken for a company that's doing something, and then all of a sudden you get sued or something happens to you because of what the other company is doing that is using the same name or a similar name or something like that. So, it's actually an interesting thing to think
Yes.
about.
Yeah, and one important point there is a name does not have to be identical to cause an issue. It just has to be
Oh,
similar enough that someone in the general public could think that your brand name is the same as somebody else's. So, slight variations, additions of letters or one word may or may not matter if the general public looks at it and thinks that your brand is somebody else's.
mhm.
So it does require an analysis there to figure out whether or not it'll be an issue, but that's why we're here. So
Okay. So, you're in Wyoming, you work out of our Wyoming office, but can you do trademarks all over, or are you only able to work in Wyoming with your law licenses? How does that work?
Trademarks, federal trademarks, since it's a national practice area, I can actually file trademarks for anyone in any state. So, my
As
Wyoming license allows me to file trademarks for anyone in the United States.
okay, as long as it's with the US Patent and Trademark Office, I'm assuming.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
If you're looking for a state trademark filing, I can do those for Wyoming or Colorado. If you're looking for other states, you'll have to engage counsel located in that state.
Okay. Or we do have attorneys in other states. So, if we've got an attorney in that state, we could help with that as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's dive in. How do I start a trademark process?
Yes. So the first step in the process is a trademark search. And this is the due diligence part of the process. This is used to clear your brand name or make sure that the brand name that you want to use does not conflict with somebody else's.
Mm,
Um, I like to describe it as an x ray before surgery. You want to see what's going on before you make the cut.
mm-hmm.
And so a trademark search, it is not mandatory or required, but it is highly recommended
Okay.
to avoid costly and time consuming headaches later on, kind of as I mentioned earlier, with having to rebrand. That's very expensive. And also getting into litigation with somebody about trademark use is also very costly. So doing this trademark step at the beginning saves you a lot of time and money in the long run.
Now, does a Google search do work? I mean, is this a specialized search or like can I do it on my own? I know when I trademarked our law firm name, McDonough Law Group, the first thing I did as a business owner, because I'm a business owner, right? And I own this firm, I own some other businesses. First thing I did is what any other business owner probably does, I did a Google search.
Yeah.
And I looked up McDonough Law Group all over. I didn't see anything on Google. I'm like, great. I saw that I could get the domain name. I was super excited about that. And then I started searching the name of the Secretary of State in all the states that we had attorneys or that I was hoping to open offices in. And so I was doing dozens of searches around the country on these Secretary of State websites. Oh, that's good. And then I hired a trademark attorney. And this was before you came to work with us. So I didn't know all of these details. I didn't know then what I know now. but
Yeah. Yeah.
but I hired a trademark attorney and they told me the same thing. Great. You did a lot of good searching. You found a name that you can use on a practical level, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's available at the US
Yes.
Patent and Trademark Office. So
Yeah.
fortunately it was, and I obtained a trademark and woohoo, I'm glad.
Yes.
But so I guess I asked that question with, is it bad for business owners to do that? I mean, does it help?
So I think I would actually recommend that people do a cursory, Google search or preliminary search on their own, so that by the time they get to me, they've already done some background and they know it's out there. So doing a Google search can give you an idea if there is somebody out there using the same or a similar name for your same area of business. And so that way when you come to me, you can ask about it and we can figure out whether or not it's going to be an issue. So it's a good way to get started, especially if you're trying to brainstorm a new business name. um,
Mm,
a preliminary Google search will give you a kind of a base level idea of whether or not it might or might be available. But you want to come to me to make the final determination, because the software that we use for our searches combs the entire federal trademark database,
mhm.
including state trademark databases and
Oh,
state business databases, so that you don't have to go to each Secretary of State's office website to search. And it also gives me common law results, which is kind of the websites and social media of other businesses who may have been using the brand name but haven't made the steps towards filing a trademark
mm,
yet. So
got it.
it gives you kind of a big world picture of what's out there, what's going to be an issue, and it kind of gives you a roadmap to help you decide if you want to proceed with this brand name or not.
Okay, so all right, so now we've decided a name. We've done our preliminary search on our own. We've hired you to do the full trademark due diligence search, and we've come up with a name that works. What happens next?
So next is preparing and filing the trademark application with the United States Patent and Trademark Office, which is the entity that handles federal trademark registrations. And currently, the timeline for this is, so it takes about 8 to 10 months to get into the hands of an examiner to kind of give you an initial response on the application. But to actually have a registration in your hands, provided there are no major issues, is around 12 to 14 months.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's a very lengthy process. And for that reason, this is why a trademark search is so important, because you don't want to be sitting there waiting all that time and having spent that money only to find out, this was an issue that we could have found at the beginning and avoided. And so, you could have picked a completely different brand name and avoided the issue.
Got it.
So
Okay.
it does take a while, and for that reason, you want to start the process as soon as possible. And so, for trademark searches, those can be done pretty quickly. I can usually turn them around within a week.
Mhm.
And then for trademark applications, once you've, decided on a name, those can also be filed within the same time frame, so within a week. And so that those first two steps, getting it searched and filed, can happen fairly quickly. The part that takes the longest is the waiting. And a lot of people like to describe the USPTO is kind of like the DMV of intellectual property because it's very slow.
Oh gosh, that's funny. I haven't heard that. That's really funny. All right. So, then what if somebody wanted to hire you, and I've actually had you do some other trademarks for me since you've come on board with our team, which is great. I love having a trademark attorney like right here because I have so many ideas and so many things I want to do. It's sometimes it can be maybe not a good thing to have a trademark attorney like right at your fingertips, but um, I know some of our clients have you doing trademarks very regularly for a lot of things, and which is good. I mean, it's great to understand and appreciate the value of that service, and it's not that expensive in the big scheme of things to file a trademark. So, what would you need to do if somebody wanted to hire you today? What would be the process?
The first thing to do would be to call our office, and we would need to set up a consult to discuss, your business goals and what brand names you're planning to use, and kind of where you are in the business process, so Um, we can decide how to best proceed.
Mhm.
Everyone's situation is different, and so it's important to have that initial consult so that we can come to an understanding about your needs, and also to get to know each other, because I always say that finding a lawyer is it's like Cinderella. You have to find the glass slipper has to fit. And so we need to make sure that we're going to work well together, and so that's why that initial consult is so important.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And we offer flat fee services for most of our trademark filings and most of our trademark services. There's a legal fee component to it, and then there's a filing fee that the trademark office requires for filing. So that's just part of the process for that. So, is there anything else that you can think of that folks need to know about?
A trademark registration does add value to your business. You know, so it adds to the overall value. So if you build a company up and you decide you want to sell it someday, the
Mhm.
intellectual property that your company has does add to that overall value. So, as long as you're building your goodwill and you're creating a brand with a good backing to it,
Mhm.
the trademark can also benefit you later on for that kind of thing.
That's a really good point. When I do business acquisitions, or when I'm working with, someone who's selling their business or someone who's buying a business, um, the names and the trademarks do come up as a potential asset, and we do look at the value of that as part of that analysis. If that's going to be part of the sale or purchase. So that's a really good, important point to bring up. Well, Shelby, thank you so much for doing this video today. I appreciate it. I know I found it helpful, and there's tons of good information. I know all of our viewers and listeners are going to find this really helpful as well. Thanks so much. And if you've got questions, give us a call, schedule an appointment with Shelby. She'd be happy to talk to you.
Thank you for having me, and I was happy to be here and discuss how to protect your brand. And yes, reach out if you have any questions. We're happy to help.
All right, great. Thanks.